Dan Keating sighed in relief as the homestead came into view. He had been following the sweet smell of wood smoke for the better part of half a mile. Despite his fatigue, the scent had propelled him onward. As he drew closer, the air was laced with the rich aromas of food, bread, heady and fragrant. Something deep and spicy. Stew? There were also some tantalizing high notes. Pie or cake? Hopefully both. 50 men had scoured the mountainside in freezing temperatures and bitter wind to find several teenage boys with an IQ to match their age. They had decided to circumvent the road closed sign in advance of a blizzard. Their old Thunderbird ended up being an off-road vehicle, literally, and the boys had abandoned it to trek home across the mountain versus following the roadway back down. That move had not turned out to be the shortcut they intended. As Dan approached the mountain home that served as command center for the search and rescue, he watched his team through the windows. His officers were weather-worn and ruddy, but smiling. The boys had been found safe, and the team was enjoying their reward for a job well done, a warm and savory feast. He brushed himself off as best he could and entered the kitchen into a cacophony of spirited and anxious conversation. "Everyone accounted for?" he shouted above the voices as he removed his winter wear. "Waiting on Elliot," said Tom Running Deer. "We split up at Buffalo Trace before you found them," explained Dan. "He took the high road." Tom grinned. "Then he's another 20 to 30 minutes behind you, depending on how hungry he is." Dan snorted. "That man has a bottomless stomach. I'm surprised he didn't get here first." Julie rounded the large wooden kitchen table and handed Dan a hot mug of spiced cider. He took it gratefully, noticing her pink cheeks and the way the apron clung to her curves. He looked down into his drink to hide his thoughts. She was going to be one of those women who looked more attractive with every year, not the other way around. "There's homemade honey wheat bread on the side table," Julie said over her shoulder. "Southern corn pone or sourdough biscuits if you'd rather. On the stove is Texas chili. Apple cobbler and walnut cake are on the counter. Do dig in." There were massive quantities of everything, and Dan fixed himself a generous first helping of chili while others were vying for seconds. Julie's home, although a sizable but simple log cabin, was situated at a pivotal nexus of mountain peaks within the Black Hills of South Dakota.